Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Grow with ASHRAE, a podcast series brought to you by ASHRAE Mumbai Chapter. If you are part of the HVAC in our industry, then a guest in this series surely have a lot to tell you. My name is Nivedita Jadhav, and I am the President-elect of ASHRAE Mumbai Chapter. Our guest today is Mr. Vikram Murthy, a stalwart from the HVAC in our industry in India. Let me give a brief introduction of this. Mr. Vikram Murthy is a BTech electrical engineer from IIT Kanpur, 1975 batch. He has worked with leading HVAC companies since 1990, and since 1999, he is a director of UNIVAC Environment Systems Private Limited. He also has a business which ventures into equipment performance certification and also does technical training and other parallel engagements. Mr. Murthy has been the ASHRAE member since 2007 and has been the ASHRAE Mumbai Chapter President in 2010. So welcome, Mr. Murthy, and thank you for honoring being our second guest and one of, in fact, I know you don't like the word being called as precious, but you are surely precious to ASHRAE Mumbai Chapter. So let me get on to my first question straight away. You, as I read out, you have been a member of ASHRAE since 2007. Why don't you just take us through a journey?
Thank you, Nivedita. It is as much my pleasure to be a member of this chapter as it may be for anybody else, which includes you. So I joined ASHRAE in 2007, quite as it wasn't an accident, but it was a welcoming of me into ASHRAE because of the situation in which I was in. So I'm a member of ASHRAE from a long time, and we attended a technical conference in Goa at that time, where there was an ASHRAE region at large meeting of a large number of overseas members and our own members. And I loved the way in which all these diverse people were getting together. And I also sat down and attended some technical meetings of theirs. And so I decided that this is another good society for me to be a member of. And I became a member of ASHRAE because of that exposure. So that's how I became a member of ASHRAE at that time. And it was then called ASHRAE Western India Chapter. I continued in that role of ASHRAE Western India Chapter membership. And in the following year, I was invited to join the Chapter Technical Transfer Committee in the BOG of ASHRAE Western India Chapter. And it got me this wonderful opportunity of traveling for an ASHRAE regional conference in Lisbon in Portugal, which is a beautiful city. And I hadn't really visited Europe before, or if I had, it was very briefly. And so over here, we met at that time, the region at large included Europe. So there was lots of good interaction, there were lots of good meetings, there were multiple languages being spoken there, and just the charm and beauty of that city enhanced the experience of being a member of ASHRAE and of the Western India chapter. And so when we came back, we continued, and the ASHRAE Mumbai chapter was really not yet born, and which happened 2 or 3 years down the line when this ASHRAE Western India chapter trifurcated into 3 parts of Ahmedabad, Pune, and Bombay and Mumbai. And so then I became a part of this new chapter, which at that time had less than half the members we have today. And soon I grew into the leadership of that as well. And in the year 2010, I had the opportunity to become the president. And then this chapter, really speaking, had to strike out on its own and make a mark of its own. We very interestingly had the Goa section, or the Goa part of it, wasn't the section, it was part of the ASHRAE Mumbai. So we had quite a large spaced membership, and ASHRAE Mumbai chapter gave us all these wonderful opportunities of interaction with new people. We worked hard to get in new members. So that was my journey with this chapter of ASHRAE in India, in Mumbai. And apart from that, I got involved with other things, of which I will speak about more later, such as technical committees of ASHRAE, society committees, and of course, serving the chapter's various committees. And so this has been my journey, and it continues. And I don't think it's going to end in a hurry.
I'm sure that you'll continue for the next at least 20 years of ASHRAE, of your membership. And you are one of the fittest kind of person that we've known in our fraternity. So let's go on to your experiences as part of technical committees. In fact, many people don't really know what is there in the technical committees, how one should really get into it, And do you really need to be highly qualified to be part of the TCs or not? So you could just give an insight on that.
Yes, so I would like to answer your last question first. You don't need to be technically qualified to be a member of any technical committee. You should be interested to be a member of that technical committee. You might not even have any background in engineering, but you might have interest in that subject. For example, uh, indoor air quality, because it's very important for interior spaces. For example, energy efficiency, which has become a subject for everybody to have something to do about green buildings. And there are many, many, many more like that. So you don't have to be an expert, but you should, the only one thing you must have is interest to be in that committee. So the interest will draw you into that committee. And the more diverse a committee is, the better it is able to do its work, because they get so many other different points of view. And even the questions you ask innocently are addressed over there with great respect, because of the diversity of people over there. And just because they are diverse, they respect each other. And there's never any feeling of being smaller, bigger, less knowledgeable, more knowledgeable, nothing of the sort. But anyway, let's come back to the question of technical committees. So the technical committees are really the heart, the core, and the strength of ASHRAE. They give ASHRAE all its edge of being respected and being on the top of things like standards and performances and certifications, and being associated with other organizations all over the world, just because of their great ability to get volunteers of technical committees to do things, to do research and to write standards, to write guidebooks, in fact, to write books, which is another strength of ASHRAE. So there are 10 groups of technical committees, which are all, in each group, the committees will be related. For example, I'm in group 5, which has everything to do with air and its movement. So it can be air distribution, duct design, fans, and so on and so forth, right? And like this, there are 10, and each of them might have 10 not subcommittees, technical committees within a group. So there are 104 technical committees. So you can see almost 10, and some have more than 10 in them. So there are 100 technical committees. If you just do a Google search of those committees without getting into the ASHRAE website, you will see the names of all of them. And you can very quickly decide that some of these interest you or not. So getting to be a member of a technical committee is really very easy. It just requires you to apply to the chair of that committee, and these committees can be easily found. Each of them has its own website. Once you become an ASHRAE member, you will be able to go to technical committees, pick a committee, open its website, see what that committee has done. All their previous meeting minutes will be there for you to see before you become a member, right? So you'll get a flair of what's happening over there. Then you write to the chairperson of that committee, selling yourself in the best way you can. You don't have to make it a glorious big application, but certainly if you were him, why should he ask you to join? Because you will bring something to offer. You bring a new perspective. You're from India. You're interested in this field. You're practicing this field. You wish to advance this field. You wish to get something done in this committee which has not been done before, in your opinion. So you will be welcome. I'll give you an example. So there is a person in our own chapter. His name is Yusuf. He came like this to me. He came to my office to talk with me about his apprehension of applying, not getting response. So I gave him all the guidelines, and he applied, and he became a member of 3 technical committees. Not immediately. He had to go back and forth. With maybe one other, he didn't get any response. And then his hands were full. So I think he might have reduced himself to 1 or more of that by now, because if you join these committees, you show good interest, you will get a lot of work to do. So that's the thing about technical committees joining. I encourage you to join them because they are the best way to learn. And if you have some interest commercially or as a business or whatever, then you can really gain from this committee. Just to make it short, I joined duct design committee because at that time I was representing a duct manufacturing company. It has always been my interest. And just to let you know, it is the easiest way for a contractor to enter the HVAC field at little or no cost. You can make a lot of money because ducting is really an architectural thing, right? And so the way you sell it depends on how well you do it. So the one thing about joining a technical committee is, does it cost money to become? Yes, it does. If you travel to further meetings and you have to spend your own money, which may be well worth it because of the experience and the exposure you will get. But since the pandemic started, all meetings are also hybrid. And so you can very much participate in them. Choose the time when you want to go. Maybe you have a company you work for or your own company, which looks as a good opportunity to send you over there. Certainly, I got business opportunities, and being in this technical committee in which I am. I also joined a climate technical committee because of my ASHRAE interest in weather data and so on. So I found it fascinating, and I encourage every member of ASHRAE to at least look at his or her interest in one or more technical committees, because that will draw you in to the core of ASHRAE.
That was very insightful. I'm sure many members who watch this recording are going to try it out going on the website and attempting at least in trying to get fit themselves into one of the technical committees. You also mentioned about society committees. I suppose you are part of a few committees there as well. Could you just tell us what all the society committees comprise of?
Yes. So technical committees are technical and they involve all the work of HVAC, technology, science, there's that and the other, and your interest in getting into engineering and design and science and applications. However, a large society like ASHRAE requires to be administered. It's a very big job to do administration, and while there are enough staff officers and managers to manage the daily nitty-gritties of all these committees and society functioning, there is a need for governance of the society about how it practices itself, how it does its interactions, how it conducts programs, how it's able to monetize its various products. So therefore, society committees are needed, and you have to volunteer to become a member of such committees. Again, please visit the ASHRAE website and look at committees, and there are many of these committees, maybe 12, 14 of them, and they range from a lot of things: historical committee, membership committee, electronic communication committee, a lot of publications, certifications. Nivedita is served on exhibitions and conferences committee. So there are many more. So all these committees require you to participate, engage for the period of 1 to 3 years, depending on your nomination. And so your nomination gets recommended by your own chapter at the regional conference. And of course, you can apply directly. It may take some time for you to be accepted because there is a huge push of people to join the society committees, because it seems to people that it is less stressful to be there than in a technical committee. But it's not the case. All these committees require to put in some work. Of course, if you're a smart person, you can join a subcommittee which gives you less stress. But the only advantage is that you get paid to travel to the meetings of the society. If you're a member of the society committee, that's the only incentive. So that really speaking doesn't cover for your cost of staying and so on. But because society committees gives you a nice insight into how ASHRAE is administered, there's a great new experience, opportunity, excitement of being a member of these committees. And my experience of the various committees I've been in is that it has given me a whole new social and cultural experience and gain, because many of the society committee members are not even anything to do with science. They are economists, they are historians, they are from some government organization, they are teachers of some of various programs, economics. And ASHRAE has a very diverse range of members who come into these societies and go up to society leadership, because the ASHRAE society is so interactive with so many other parts of governance and activity in America, including building codes. So building codes, many of those guys also member society committees because they want to drive something or the other. They want to engage ASHRAE to write standards. So the standards and all are driven by the technical activities committee. So anyway, to cut a long story short, I have served on society committees as diverse as electronic communication, government affairs, which is advocacy. Then I was on publications, now I'm on certification. So this has been a continuing journey, and it's good. And I also had a break at some time, which may be a good thing too. and I could focus more on my technical committee. So engage with ASHRAE as much as interests you and as much as benefits you. I think that's more important. As much as benefits you, benefit need not be only a direct business benefit, but it benefits you as a person to be there.
I have, and you mentioned I was part of the CEC, that's the Conferences and Expositions Committee. My experience has also been very fantastic. In fact, I missed a couple of years of personal meetings out there, but the rest of the time that I took the opportunity thereon, it was like I wish I could continue to being part of some committee there. So let's now get back to if the members that we have, how do we really entice them to become, to take benefit of the plethora of knowledge or opportunities that ASHRAE has? How do we encourage them to take the opportunity?
So this is a wonderful question because as all of you know who might be listening to this podcast, that we have the society, the Indian society very much in India, which is doing very similar things to ASHRAE, but ASHRAE goes a few levels above what ASHRAE does in terms of its offerings. So the offerings are the big difference between ASHRAE and ASHRAE. It's not to compare one with the other, but if you're a professional in any field related to building sciences, then ASHRAE is the recognized body across the world, including Europe and other countries which are not American, and of course all the rest of the world too, for the strength and the rigor and referencing which ASHRAE does before they put out any technical information. So I think that being a member of ASHRAE has two benefits. One, being a member of the chapter has tremendous opportunities to interact with other members of ASHRAE and probably meet people you would have never had the opportunity to meet before, and get engaged in all the chapter activities locally. But there are many good activities. ASHRAE has student branches also, which Nivedita may speak to you more about, which have got such huge enthusiasm of the students who have become members, because for them it gives them a platform if they want to study abroad, also do projects. ASHRAE awards some projects. Many of our Indian student branches have got those awards. But coming back to any one of you who wishes to join or who has already joined, please visit the technical portal of ASHRAE. Nivedita is also able to give good guidance to that. And there's a wealth of information there. If I start speaking about all of it now, it will take very long. But this is accessible to any of you who is a member. And as I was saying to her earlier in a conversation, if you fill up your bio very well in your ASHRAE bio, you will get feeds which direct you to the technical portal of the interest which you have. And there are many free resources there. They could be even tools like small apps, guides, downloads, building designs, many other things are over there. And another wealth of information are the past journals which are archived, and there are wonderful articles which you can search by subject or by author. And of course, beyond all that, that technical portal is like a small library which you can walk into anytime. And so I think both these things are there. The social benefit of being an ASHRAE member, the steps you will learn to climb up in terms of what you're interested in, and just sitting in your office or home to browse the technical resources of ASHRAE. And ASHRAE's website is revamped maybe a couple of years back. It's a wonderful website, very easy to navigate. You can have your own parts of which you look at, and many things are available as podcasts, as Nivedita is doing one now, and recordings of conferences. You can even attend conferences virtually, spend a little bit of money. The virtual attending is good. You get to hear wonderful speakers. The next conference is coming up in the summer next month in Toronto. It's the one which may be well attended. So all these things are there.
That was quite elaborate. In fact, what we plan to do as one of the in the future webcasts is, since you talked about the students, we're going to invite one of our SBAs, the student branch advisors, who will talk about the benefits that her students have got in terms of the scholarships, in terms of the project grants. So in fact, I never really knew the kind of opportunities that students have. In fact, I'll say I've always been saying rather that ASHRAE students benefit the most from ASHRAE, which we as regular members can also benefit. But I admire the way ASHRAE does so much for students. So Vikram sir, we'll have to come on to our last question. But all the same, this is a question that we at being in region at large are more relevant with. Region at large, I suppose we have around 32 chapters and 20 and people from 20 plus countries. So what is, I mean, with such diversity, how is it, I mean, how have you really gained from it? What the social interactions, all the professional interactions, what has been your experience like?
Yes, so the region at large, as it exists today, and you mentioned there are 35 locations of chapters or sections. So this is a wonderful region, and it is large in terms of it's a whole of Middle East, North Africa, South Africa, Asia, all of South Asia, 10 chapters in India. So it's Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, so on and so forth. Not Nepal, but such a large number of chapters with many people who are just like you, because a large section of this is South Asia. And really speaking, much of the Middle East has so much of Indian population, or people who like Indians, you know, they like to get along with us, or even the African guys. So I think we really form the developing and the semi-developed rest of the world section of ASHRAE. So we are very proud that we are a 5,000, 6,000 strong group of people whom ASHRAE feels that this is a real big growth region. And very successfully, they have opened a training center in Dubai. But my own experience is the wonderful friends I have made in this region by meeting them, many of whom share the same aspiration, interest, lifestyle, friendship, you know, speaking similar languages or not the same language. And in the virtual time, we have met all of them participating. Many of them joined with our chapters here to have joint programs. So I think the richness of region at large is not experienced by any other region. So we are very lucky to be in that region. A small thing that we are in a developing economy, so our ASHRAE fees are lower. And if you're a young person below 30, really attractive fees to join ASHRAE. So the earlier you join, the more fun you will have at low prices.
We will actually, the ASHRAE fees, I mean, I used to always think, you know, one pizza a month which I give up, and my ASHRAE fees is set off out there. So it's not really big cost as company compare it with the wealth of knowledge, wealth of everything. It's something that I would never give up till I'm whether I'm in the industry or not. It's something to be, I really feel proud to be part of. So thank you, Vikram sir. It has been a delight to have you on the show. And I'm sure all our audience, whoever watches this till the end, will thank me personally and ASHRAE Mumbai Chapter and our President Rupesh for starting this initiative. So we look forward to have maybe another session where you'll have still more information to give up, maybe a year later or a couple of years later, whenever. Once again, thank you, Vikram sir, and thank you, audience, for attending or watching this show. We are still not used to attend the right terms, because we are at times balancing in a virtual platform, at times on a physical platform. So pardon the mistakes that I do, but I look forward to welcoming you all again to our next week with our next guest. Until then, take care. Thank you.
Thank you.